Get ready with me to tell you the story time about how I was pepper sprayed in high school by my friend. So basically, when I was in high school, my brother decided to buy me and my sister pepper sprays to take it with us wherever we go. So I put the pepper spray on my keychain and I took that shit everywhere. Literally everywhere. So one day my friend is having people over and I decided to go over. It's like a huge group of a bunch of our friends. Everything's great. We're like in her basement and I decide to put my keys on the table. I shouldn't have done that. So I'm sitting there thinking nothing of it until one of my friends grabs the pepper spray and he's like, "Yo, is this pepper spray?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it is. Ha ha, very funny. Give it back now." And pepper sprays have like a lock. You can lock it and unlock it, right? So he's like fidgeting with this thing and I'm like, "Literally, can you give me back my pepper spray?" So I stand up and I come near him and then he starts chasing me. So everyone's watching me get chased around the basement. You know, it's all fun and games.
Until
he presses the button and this cloud of pepper spray comes towards me. And I swear it felt like a movie. It was in slow-mo. Like I just see this puff coming towards me. I instantly literally drop to the floor and start putting my hands like this on my face. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh." I'm like screaming and everyone's like laughing because it looked like I was putting on an acting performance of my life. But I wasn't because I was literally in so much pain. So everyone's laughing and then I look up and their faces were like they just saw a ghost. They were like, "Oh, she's being serious right now." One girl runs upstairs and grabs some milk. So we're literally in the bathroom and they're all pouring milk on my face and it's getting better. I didn't know that milk helped because apparently if you put water on that shit, it'll hurt more. So the milk was soothing my face a little bit. Honestly, it's been so long, I kind of blocked out like a lot of what happened after that. But I remember coming out of the bathroom and everyone was like really awkward. It was so awkward. They were like, "Are you okay?" Anyways, after that, we took some pictures of what my face looked like. And yeah. Anyways, at the end of the day, the guy who did it still claims his innocence. He said it was an accident, which if it was an accident or wasn't, doesn't matter. I'm over it. All I gotta say is be careful where you leave your pepper spray. Thanks for watching.
Get ready with me while I tell you about a family secret my grandma took to her grave and my family found out years later. Y'all are going to want to stay tuned because this story is actually insane. Okay, so it first starts off way before I was born when my grandpa died. And when he was on his deathbed, my family asked if there was any information that like he was hiding. And he said, "Not from me, but I don't know about your mother." And that was him telling that to his children. So that was my mom and he was talking about my grandmother. So I don't really know what happened after that, but I guess they never found out that information. So when I was around 5, my grandma ended up passing away. And I think that what my grandpa said kind of just like passed over everyone's heads and no one really thought much about it. So then a few years later, I think I was around 13, my aunt ended up signing up for Ancestry and nothing really came up from it because she already pretty much knew everyone that we were related to until a few years later. So then one day my mom gets a call from her sister. And my mom is the youngest of 4, so my grandma already had 4 kids. But anyways, my aunt calls my mom one day, and she's like, "I just got a match from Ancestry for someone that could be our sister." And so my mom's kind of just sitting here like, "What? Like, we don't have another sister? Like, what?" So then they're trying to figure out if it's from my grandpa or from her mom. Like, obviously my grandpa had an affair and got another woman pregnant, and so they have like a half sibling now. So this was already like crazy news to me, and I was like, what? Like, I have an aunt that I never knew about? Like, that's crazy. Little did we know that this was actually my grandma's child. And so we're trying to like map it out, and she's a lot older than my siblings, so we're like, this was before her marriage. It wasn't just before her marriage. She had this kid in high school. So I guess my grandma got pregnant in high school. I don't know how this was kept a huge secret, but when you get pregnant in high school, like, it's a big deal. So she got pregnant in high school and just didn't tell anyone about it, had the baby, and gave it up for adoption. And my half-aunt didn't know she was adopted until she was 45. So her parents basically lied to her whole life, which that's what she says. Which I think is crazy because imagine being told you're adopted when you're 45 years old. Like, what? So I'm already like jaw-dropped about this whole situation. I'm telling all my friends, I'm like, "Guys, like, I literally have like a half-aunt. Like, what the heck? Like, this is crazy." And everyone around me is like, that doesn't just happen. So obviously I was like, whoa, crazy family lore right here, you know? And like a huge part of this was like crazy because we were like, how did my grandma hide this from her kids, her husband? I mean, maybe he knew, but we were just kind of like, why did she not tell literally anyone, especially when she was like dying, because she had cancer and she knew she was dying, but she still like kept it to herself. So everyone was just kind of like confused. So yeah, anyways, we ended up meeting her and she's super nice. We have a huge like family get together, and it's just still kind of like crazy to us because like my mom literally had a half sibling her whole life and no one ever knew. And then like 3 years later, something even crazier happens, but you guys are gonna have to go to part 2 because I'm running out of time. Okay, this is part 2 on the crazy family secret that my grandma took to her grave. So if you guys haven't watched part 1, go watch that. But basically, I was talking about how my grandma took to her grave that she had a child in high school and gave it up for adoption, and no one knew until she passed and I was like 10 years old. And we found this out through Ancestry. But that is not all. This is where the story gets even better. So I'm still like shocked that like she had a kid in high school and like I literally had another aunt. And this is still like something my family talks about on the regular and just like how crazy it was. So then one day my aunt calls my mom again and she's like, I think we have another sister. And so we're just like at this point, we're like, no way. And so we do some digging and we're like, okay, this is like, this truly has to be like our grandpa's child. Like this is not our grandma's child. Nope. It was my grandma's child. Oh, and here's the best part. She was even older than the other sibling. So she had her earlier in her high school years than the last one. So she had 2 children in high school. Like, what? So clearly, all respect to grandma, but she got around in high school. Just a little bit. So you guys could probably assume, like, how shocked I was about this, because I was just like, there's 1 and now there's 2. But it's crazy because my grandma didn't just take 1 secret to the grave, she took 2. And I guess if her husband, well, my grandpa, knew about them, he took them to his grave too. So I don't really know. But yeah, the older one did end up passing a few years ago, but the younger one is still in our family. I actually was just with her this last weekend for my cousin's wedding, but it's just crazy how your grandparents could hold a secret like this and your family could never know about it. Like, you think someone would know. My grandma has 2 sisters, but she was the oldest of her sisters because her dad had to go to World War II, and so they were 8 years apart. So my guess is when she was 18, she had the first child and maybe it got like sent off somewhere. I don't really know. I don't really know how it all lines up, but it's crazy. So the learning lesson from this is sign up on Ancestry and see who you're related to, because that's not normal. I mean, it's pretty cool that I have 2 aunts that I'd never known about, and my mom had literally 2 sisters she never knew about her whole life. So stuff happens. Crazy family lore, you know? Anyways, wasn't too interesting of a part 2. I just ran out another one. But yeah, bye.